students are gone, but you are still here. And we know how you feel because you are done. But you have so much work to do to get ready for tomorrow. Good afternoon, podcast listeners everywhere. Welcome to After the Bell, a Stunt Brothers production. A podcast that gets inside the life of a teacher and provides a wellness guide for being prepared to take on this most challenging of professions. I'm Martin Stuvel.
And I'm Roy Hunt. And we share your pain, having taught a combined 70 years. The guarantee of this podcast is to make you laugh, make you think, and give you at least one little nugget that you can use in the classroom. So get out your marking, organize your supplies, or just pour yourself a coffee.
I want something stronger.
And listen, engage, and interact with After the Bell, a podcast for you, the hard-working, dedicated teacher who wants free lesson plans, free advice, and a free meal.
Okay, Roy, but I'm not paying for anything more than McDonald's. Mr. Hunt, we are live.
We are live, and Happy New Year to you, Mr. Subel.
Happy New Year to you, 2026. And we are in a new location for this episode.
Yeah.
Because this is not the box.
No, we are in a beautiful spot on Pender Island.
Pender Island. Behind us, we have Saturna and Mount Baker. Probably can't see. It's a little cloudy today, but it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. And today is January 1st, 2026. So it is time to wish everyone Happy New Year.
That's right. I didn't do the penguin plunge today.
You've done the penguin plunge.
I have regularly.
I was thinking I would watch you do the penguin plunge today, but you decided not to.
No, if I didn't have a group of people going in with me, then, I needed like the lemmings, right? One lemming would go and they all would follow, and there no lemmings would follow.
No lemmings?
Me, so
no lemmings behind Roy.
Nothing. Yes.
Wow.
So do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Well, it's that time of year. People do New Year's resolutions, but I don't know.
Nothing for you?
I'm kind of perfect, right?
Well, first of all, I have a New Year's resolution. I am going to improve the lighting when I am recording for video for this Riverside.
Because episode that people see today is our first Riverside episode that is actually going to have video with it. And you're the Dark Lord, my friend.
Yes.
You're the Dark Lord.
I thought it was a little dark when it started, but then once it was edited and kind of put together, yes, I look like an 18-year-old in his basement playing video games.
You do. And
yes.
Everyone else is well lit. The other guests we have on this episode, but you're in the bottom corner.
I look like a novice, like I've never gone through this before.
So you have made a New Year's resolution to work on your lighting.
To work on the lighting.
Okay, good.
And you just said that you didn't have anything to work on?
I don't have. What?
Well,
I mean,
what about
like what?
Interrupting me.
Oh.
Interrupting me.
Okay, I could work on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that bother you a bit? Do I interrupt you too often?
No. Well,
okay.
if you don't see it as a problem, then
okay.
Then I guess it's okay. But what about for me?
I will be a better listener, Roy.
Okay.
I will.
All
I'll let you. I won't jump in on you.
What do you think about for me?
I like the lighting thing.
The lighting thing?
Yeah.
What about my laughing?
You're not going to get rid of it, are you?
Do you think I laugh too much?
Well, you do. But I've heard from listeners, it's kind of the highlight of the episode.
Well, there's a lot of people who say I should laugh more.
They hear your laugh. In fact, I was thinking of taking all the laughs from the previous 2 seasons and putting them together in some kind of, rap montage of sound that would just probably be a bestseller.
A Roy Hunt laugh track.
Right?
It says, are you feeling down?
Yeah.
You feeling low? Do you need to feel better about yourself to feel light and giggly?
Just listen to this.
Listen to this.
Listen to this laughter.
1 hour.
Laughter that can fill a room. And actually right now, laughter that can fill a whole island. The seals behind me.
Yes.
They're wondering, whoa.
The animals are coming closer because of my laughter.
They are. So don't give up your laugh.
Okay, I won't. All right.
But today's episode is exciting because this is New Year, which is new beginnings.
Yes.
And we've decided to go back to the beginning of a teacher and a teacher candidate and how you get together and how you develop your profession, right?
So we have the opportunity to interview teacher candidates who have just finished 2 weeks of their practicum.
Yeah.
And before going on to Christmas holidays.
Yeah, there's 4 of them, and they're delightful. They're so full of energy and joy for what they've chosen as their profession, which I found just so happy and so wonderful to see. And we're just seeing the beginning. So they've done their 2-week practicum.
Yes.
Our hope then is to get together in June after they finished, and they're about to become a trained professional teacher. They would have done their 3-month practicum. Maybe a year from there, once they have their professional career started, we can get together with them again.
What I loved about our interview with them was that the passion that they had for teaching, it was just a reminder of the passion that I had for teaching.
It reminded me of those days, right? And I think we were fortunate that we kept that passion our whole career. But there's something about that passion you have when you start the career. Yes. Everything is new. It's so fresh,
all the new things,
exciting, right?
It's exciting and at the same time is sort of not necessarily it can be frustrating, but it could be a little bit a lot of anxiety that comes from,
of course,
am I doing a good enough job
and being watched,
kinds of
right?
Things. Oh,
that is stressful.
Unless you like being watched, there's some people do. Like, I'm not going to say any more.
No, I don't. Ooh.
Okay.
Let's get on with the show. Let's listen to these 4 wonderful student teachers. You'll learn more. We'll introduce you to them, and everyone, talk to you later.
And if you want to know who I am in the video, just look for the darkest
Lord
section of the broadcast, and that'll be me.
Welcome, everyone. Roy and I are here with 4 teacher candidates, and this is kind of a unique idea. It's our first video that we're doing for our podcast, so this will be on our YouTube channel, as well as all our streaming places like Spotify, Apple Music. And if the student teachers are part of this, I hope we actually can make this a long-term thing. We meet today, and then all the student teachers, I believe, have just done their 2-week practicum. So they're kind of beginning. And then maybe in June, if we met again, after you've done your longer practicum, and it would be fantastic if maybe a year after that, we got together and talked to the professional teachers that you are. So, anything to add to that before we get each one of them to introduce themselves and maybe say where they're at?
Well, no, other than the fact that I'm excited to hear your perspectives on what being in the classroom for the first time was like. That's for sure. I know going back after I haven't only been retired for a year and a half. It seems different already.
We're going to go around and if you could just say where you're at and talk a little bit about the school you're at, and then we'll get right into it. And feel free to jump in. It's a conversation. It's not like a stressful interview for anything that's going to change your life, but we really appreciate you being part of this. So how about Chris? I see you at the top there on my screen. So Chris, where are you? And tell us a bit about how it's going.
Sure. Well, this is definitely a second career for me. I worked for 20 years in the film industry and decided that that was not the right path for me, and teaching was going to be the right path. So I'm very excited to be in this program. I have a fine arts degree. If you're watching the video, you can see some of my paintings behind me.
Wow.
So painting and photography and hopefully now teaching through art is going to be a big passion for me. And I'm very excited to be here. I have my own kids. They're 11 and 14 years old. So being around kids is not a new thing for me. I've also spent a few years in the past working with scouts about the same age. So I've enjoyed it, which is why I'm here.
What made you, was it something you had thought about in the past and you just got involved in the film industry and then it took a while to kind of find this journey again, or was it a later decision?
I guess for me, when I was in university and I really knew that art was something I wanted to pursue for the rest of my life, I knew that being a fine art painter wasn't a good career choice. So I looked at film because I love storytelling. I love the narrative aspect of it and just being creative and open. So I jumped into that and then just found that I loved the technology so much that I ended up teaching camera assistants how to use technology for most of my career. So it really came down to teaching and art. So this is really just nothing new. It's just a different extension of the same thing.
Nice.
Caitlyn?
I am at Blue Ridge right now.
Right.
I had a great time doing the practicum. Prior to joining the program, I was actually working as a stewardess on a yacht. And I just was not having a lot of work-life balance. And I was volunteering at another elementary school, and I just loved it.
Okay.
I love working with kids. And coincidentally, I was working with the same grade that I'm now doing practicum with.
Oh, well.
But it's been awesome to take on a teaching role, because I find with volunteering, I was sort of taking on more of like, I felt like an EA kind of task. Like I was, helping individual students and stuff. So it's definitely been an adjustment to being in front of the class and teaching and planning the lessons and stuff. But it's been so fun. Yep. So far, so good.
Wonderful. And Emma?
So I have actually always wanted to be a teacher. Dad teaches in high school and my mom teaches in elementary school. So I've kind of seen both avenues that you can go. And ultimately, I wanted to be in elementary school. Right out of high school, I got a history degree, which I thought I could use if I in future wanted to move into the high school. But again, I just ended up in elementary school. I did all my volunteer work in an elementary school, and it's just really where I love. So being able to be in this program and to see what else comes with it has just been amazing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Olivia?
So for me, I wanted to be a teacher when I was in elementary school. And then along the way in high school, I changed my own mind. So I ended up getting a degree in science and food and nutrition.
Okay.
And then about halfway through that degree, I really enjoyed it, but I was like, no, I need to go back. I've always enjoyed working with kids. So I kind of just took the prereqs within my same degree to prepare for eventually doing my Bachelor of Education. And then I took a little break and I went to Korea to teach English for a year, it was a great experience. And I feel like it was so cool to teach in a different system, like entirely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm back and I'm really enjoying the program, and I'm at Cleveland Elementary teaching grades 6 and 7, which is also something super new to me. But so far, it's been a very good learning experience.
Roy, you can relate to teaching overseas, right?
Yes. I started out in geology, and after 2 years decided I wanted to meet people. I was in a mine, and so I went to teachers college. I graduated in Ontario, and there were no jobs. And so I saw in the Toronto Star to teach English in Japan. And at that time, there were very few actual teachers who were going to Japan. And I ended up getting a 5-year teaching contract with the Chiba City Board of Education. And I ended up staying for 4 years. And it made some amazing friends and just an unbelievable experience. I was in junior high schools teaching the teachers how to teach English and also teaching conversational English to the high school students. So it was very exciting.
Yeah. There's someone in our program as well that he also just came back from teaching in Japan, and he was also there for a while. I know when I was there, there's a lot of people that go and they just stay for a really long time, and you can really, it's great to meet so many people from all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds to me like even though it's early in your journey, everyone feels they're in the right place, right? Which is, that's nice to know, because a lot of people don't really know what teaching is, right? Until they do it. And a lot of people, they go, oh, wow, okay. Yeah. So for you to have that feeling already, it must be quite comforting to you.
That's amazing.
Right? Once you get your feet wet a bit with the 2-week practicum. Was there anything before the practicum that you were excited about and looking most forward to? Does anybody want to jump in?
I feel like I was just excited to be in a new school. I'm not from North Van, so being in a school that's so surrounded by nature, and it's also a little bit smaller than what I was used to as well. And being in a new grade was also exciting and also scary at the same time.
Of course.
For me, something that I was really looking forward to before I started the 2-week was just kind of the everyday of it. I'd only ever volunteered once a week, or seen our visits before that was just every Thursday. So having the chance to every day see what the full week looks like and then do it again the second, I feel like we all kind of learned the most during that time. Just seeing how it runs was really cool.
Caitlyn?
I would say
Sorry,
too,
Chris?
that along that same line, the Thursdays were always really difficult. because we would go in for one day, start to build relationships with the students, and then have to leave again. So by the time we hit that 2-week stretch, that's when I actually got to know the students I was working with.
Yeah.
That made it, it made it reconfirm that that's what I wanted to do for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I agree. I think for me, like going in, even just like the first Thursday, meeting the kids, they were kind of like who is this person kind of thing, and then so it was nice to do the 2-week practicum and even just see like after building those relationships how the flow of the lessons changed by the end of it. Like I want to say at the beginning, because they're young, I'm with a grade 1 class. It was kind of like, it was just unfamiliar to them. And then by the end of the 2-week practicum, we really had a routine and they knew kind of what the expectations for me were. And I don't know. And I think it all comes down to just building those relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what I was really excited about. And it was cool to see it kind of play out.
And I think a lot of people find they want to get in there and the observations are okay for a bit, but they just want to get in there and get their hands dirty and start teaching.
Don't hold me back any longer.
No.
That's definitely how it felt after the 2 weeks when we all had to go back to UBC.
Yeah.
We were all missing our classes.
Yeah.
So the question I have for all of you is, what aspects of teaching did you find that were easier than you expected?
It's a good question.
I think it's kind of a tough question because I would say none of it is that easy, but when you just love it, I find that it's just worth it.
Yeah.
So the things that, when you're up late trying to figure out different lessons that are going to work, something might not work for one kid, but it will for the other. Those things are always going to be a bit challenging. We do at school, we, make lessons that will work for certain kids, but when you put it into, the reality of teaching, it might not work for everyone and you need to readjust. So I would say that part is challenging, but it's always worth it, which I guess is, so it's not too hard, I guess.
It's both things. It's probably the hardest job there is, but it can be the most rewarding, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you have, even like during our 2-week stressful times or a hard day, even one moment where like a kid, I don't know, for me, like if a kid asks for help personally, like for my help or something, it makes the whole thing worth it.
Yeah.
But
Anyone else?
I feel like another thing that was easier for me in observing my school advisor and also during the 2 weeks was just how in a 6-7 class the flow just kind of starts with starting a lesson. I don't know, in my class we have a lot of group discussions, and I think I was kind of nervous about that at first because I have a lot of experience with little kids, but not as much experience with older kids. Just seeing where a conversation or a lesson idea can go just from feedback from the students was super cool and made me just it was better than I thought it was going to be.
How did everyone find the experience of when you do teach a lesson and say you're being observed, whether by Victor or your teacher? Were you pretty cool with that, or was that kind of hard at first?
I feel like since Victor did such a great job connecting with us and getting to know us, I was a little bit nervous at first, but since we all knew him, he went on walks with us and talked with us, it was definitely less scary and more just oh, Victor's here. He's just going to sit and watch and...
Yeah, I think for me it was more just a sense of being self-aware that every time I say or do something, I'm kind of looking at myself thinking, well, how would I judge that? So I wouldn't say it was a nervousness, and again, felt very comfortable with both my faculty advisor and teacher in the classroom because of those relationships. But yeah, it was more just being self-aware.
Roy and I have both had many student teachers over the years, and I think we've always made sure that student teachers felt the ability to flourish as themselves and not have to be a copy of you. And I think sometimes when people get a sponsor teacher that kind of expects you to teach just like them, that can be quite stressful when they're observing you and you're not doing exactly what they would do, but you should be allowed to be yourself. And I can imagine Victor would nourish that as well.
Yes, Victor's very good that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty comfortable when he came in because, Olivia was saying, we'd gone on walks with him. So it was kind of just Victor's here. And I think for both Victor and my essay, I really get the sense that they just are in my corner. We're learning,
Yeah.
so I feel like I have space to learn, which is really nice. And they're both in my corner, which to me, it goes a really long way in helping to reduce those nerves. So I wasn't as nervous as I expected to be, surprisingly.
Good. Yeah. And I would feel in the end, that's how you want to treat your own students as well. So it's nice to be treated in the same way. Yeah. Now, a flip side of that question that Roy just asked would be, was there something that turned out to be more challenging than you expected?
For me, it was timing of the lessons.
Okay.
I was doing my lesson plans, and I think I was a bit ambitious with things. So I'm like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And I'm so excited. And then after the first few lessons, I learned I was having to just kind of take out whole little sections of my lesson plan because the instruction takes long and there's so many questions and stuff. I do think I've gotten better at it, but I was like, whoa, my timing was a bit off, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I had the same thing for sure. It was the timing of the lessons. In theory, it would have all worked out, smoothly. But then the questions come and the comments and this and that. And I was at a point where I didn't want to squash anything. I wanted everyone to be able to ask every question that they had, make every comment. So I think after that, I quickly realized there needs to be a little bit more parameters and, instructions about things, and then was able to adjust. But it was definitely a struggle at the beginning.
Yeah. I know for me, I found that I would get into teaching something and then I would just lose track of time myself. And then I'd have to stop and look at the clock and think, wait, am I going way over? Because I was so into it myself that I was just going to blow through recess or whatever I was going to.
And it's hard when you're a teacher candidate because a teacher that has their own class can be a lot more flexible at the end of the day, right? But you've got to be this perfect model of, your lesson plan has to be done and everything's set up and you got to fit that time, especially if you're being observed, where, once you have your own classroom, it doesn't always work perfectly, and that's just reality, and things happen, and you go into the math class when you're still doing science, for example, and you have that flexibility.
I also feel like I was always thinking about trying to connect with my students too. So I always felt with the timing too, all of the hands being raised with different ideas. I was like, we need to move on a little bit. But yeah, I think there's the timer. So
yes, yeah. Okay. I think even veteran teachers will talk about that as being such an issue, right? Trying to fit the time and get it within the planned time, and especially in elementary, there's a lot of disruptions, a lot of things that happen. Then there's a new assembly you forgot about, and there's so many things that make it a challenge.
Yeah. Or a fly comes in the room, or a spider comes in the room, and all of a sudden, it's all over. Was there a time in your practicum where you had a lesson plan and you were just going into that direction with the lesson plan, and then you had to pivot because it wasn't going quite the way you wanted?
I think it was actually the first lesson that I did. And I had planned an outdoor game. So in my idea, I was like, okay, they're going to practice working together. And the lesson that I chosen, it was actually for grade 3s. So I was like, okay, this is going to be super easy. I have it's like crossing the river game. So they have different cones that they can only step on, and they have to work together to get from one side to the other side. And I explained it to them inside, and they seemed to understand. Then we went outside, and then they just kept doing things that I wasn't expecting. Instead of working together, one of them would scoot on the cone the whole way, and it was kind of chaotic. I think since it was my first lesson, I didn't really pivot. I was just trying to manage the situation. So it was definitely a really good learning experience. I had a really good conversation with my school advisor after, but it just taught me a lot about how to set the expectations before doing kind of a fun activity, and where to step in, where to let them, the students figure it out on their own. And so I didn't really pivot, but it was definitely, I had to take some deep breaths after.
I had a similar experience. I developed a game, and I really wanted them to figure out how to play the game on their own. So I'd written out the instructions, and I had it. We walked out to the middle of this field, and there was this little package bundle in a Ziploc bag, and they had to open it up. And I told them ahead of time that I really wanted to see how this was going to go. So I was willing to let this fail if it didn't work out. And they opened up the bundle and they had all the instructions in front of them and they couldn't figure it out. So I had to step in and talk them through it. And it was really interesting to me because I realized that, obviously this is a skill that is also teachable, that this is something I can work with them to try to build this skill where I can have written instructions and have them work together as a class or as a team and actually figure it out. So I'm taking failure is something that we can work on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think to become a great teacher, you have to face failure, right? Because it means you're taking chances too. If you play it safe all the time, then nobody wants to be in that class where the teacher's playing it safe, right? So you got to take chances.
It's an interesting proposition though to be a teacher, a student teacher sitting in under observation of someone else, and then still take those risks, knowing that something may fail.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty high stress. Now, having just started your journey, was there anything about being in the class that surprised you? Like, we've all been in a class. That's the one thing about teaching. And you'll find the public, they all have an opinion about teaching and what should be and what shouldn't be, because everybody's been in that class. And maybe they had that grade 3 teacher in 1972 that annoyed them, and then suddenly that shaped their view of teaching. But having gone through as a student, now that you are there as a teacher and a teacher candidate, was there anything about the education system and teaching that you've now seen that surprised you yet? Or maybe you haven't noticed anything yet? Or did it kind of fit in with your memory of what it was like to be in a classroom as a student?
I think for me, because I did quite a bit of volunteering prior to the program.
Good,
So I was for me, I wasn't too surprised. I think maybe if I had got placed with a different grade other than what I had experienced volunteering with. So for me, I wasn't too surprised with what I had seen. I mean, every school obviously has like a different culture and things like that. But for the most part, it was somewhat expected for me anyway.
I feel like I still was a little bit surprised with how hard teachers have to work to differentiate and like balance all of the different students like in your classroom. English language learners or kids with IEPs, and then like communication with adults and parents and other staff members. I feel like that surprised me a little bit. Maybe not surprised, but just I was like, wow, this is everything that a teacher has to manage.
Right.
And all the different roles that a teacher has to play other than being the teacher. So.
Were you surprised the number of decisions you sometimes have to make, like in a minute?
Yeah.
It's quite incredible.
How do you think you changed over the course of your practicum? So when you started, you finished your practicum, how do you think you've changed?
I think it's pretty hard not to change, right? I mean, it's you're going in and we've all spent a lot of time in school being students, and then when you're standing in the front of the classroom and you've got all these eyes looking at you, and you've sort of got to perform or teach. I mean, it does change you. I mean, I'd say in a similar way, I relate a lot of my experience back to being a parent. And being a parent has changed me, just, having that responsibility. But I think being a teacher in a similar but very different way is also transformative, right? I mean, you just can't help not be a different person by the time you walk out.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Chris was saying. I think just getting to know your students, it's impossible not to change just from them. Just how much you love them and want to be in their corner and cheering them on, and can't wait to hear about their weekend and, the little things that they do. It's just having the appreciation for them and how they view you. It's so much responsibility. And I've personally never had that responsibility before. I'm not a parent, so I've never had that feeling. So I can only imagine. But it is really amazing just to feel from the couple months that we've been in this, how much has already shifted.
I was going to say, I find that like with the practicum, the learning curve is like this. Like every single night I would go home and like I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh, okay, going over what worked, what didn't. And like I found myself, because I had sent my teacher like the lesson plans for the week, and every night I was changing the lesson plans, and like every day you're just putting so many tools in your toolbox, and then you're changing the lesson plans. And so like if you were to look at my first lesson, I'm sure it was drastically different from the last one that I did. So I think practicum is great. It's the best way to learn, by actually doing things. So I think probably that's been the experience for everyone. Just lots of learning.
It's kind of something that I didn't really even realize is that how it's just like a 24-hour. You are always thinking about your students, what you can do better, things that you need to change for the next day. And that's kind of something we realized all through our 2-week practicum, that it's not starting at 8:30 and ending at 3. It's every morning you're thinking about it, and every, afternoon, evening, you wake up thinking about it and, consume it.
Well, you know what? It's interesting as we're talking here. I don't know how much Martin shared with you, but I started my career in North Vancouver, and my first day as a teacher on call, a substitute teacher, I was in Martin's class.
Yeah, it's like
and that's how we met. And in our career, we both started a different school after I received a position, and it just happened that Martin was at that school, and that's how our friendship came. And it's one of those amazing things when, it's one thing, teaching can be a job where you take on so much, and sometimes if you don't make connections with other people on staff, it can really drain you. And having a connection with someone that you work with, it can be amazing. And the reason why we're doing this podcast is because of the connection that Martin and I made over the years. And I know that when you find that opportunity to connect with someone, when you do end up teaching full time, that's money in the bank.
It's a tough job, and you want to have someone you can connect with and just trust and just debrief and work things out, right? Because there's things that are happening that just can be exhausting.
Yep.
But Roy and I both think it's the best job in the end of the day, Yeah. And it's just, Roy, like their enthusiasm, everyone's enthusiasm here. It's just nice to see these.
I love that.
People that just have clearly chosen the right profession,
Okay.
Which is exciting.
It's like-minded people.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's wonderful, especially being in the same cohort, like the sustainability cohort. Yeah, it's been great.
Like, but all the talk about AI and online learning, kids need to be in a school. There's so much of education isn't actually just about the curriculum. It's about their connections with each other.
The social connections.
It's vital. More than ever, it is actually vital. So I don't think schools will lose their purpose no matter how much technology changes the world. I think that's kind of key.
Roy, you said you're doing still some TOCing these days, and have you seen a big difference in that social connection aspect from when you were teaching full time to now, like going in?
Well, it's interesting because I have retired. I'm a year and a half into it. It always I think it goes back to those times when during COVID there were a lot of things going on and people pulled away socially. And I think as the students have gone up, the particular year right now in the grade 3, 4, 5 area of elementary school, it used to be a pretty stable, if you were in grade 4 or 5, kids still love school and you could really get them excited about things. I think it's a harder sell now. It's a harder way to make connections. And many students have been used to spending time by themselves or with very few people. It's almost like some of the social graces, some of the things about sharing space with others, it's almost like it has to be retaught right now.
I definitely,
like turn taking and it's the things like obvious things like you shouldn't be, we're doing mathematics right now. Singing at the top of your lungs is not a good thing when everybody's trying to do mathematics and a student will look at you and say, what do you mean? So I don't know. I'm pretty lucky because I get called back to the school that I worked at, and I love it because I still get rock star status. I understand why classic rock bands come back for tours because I walk into this school that my students cheer. And I'll walk by a class and they'll say, "Are you teaching us today?" And I say, "No, I'm not teaching that other class." And they're actually disappointed. So that I'm not there for them. That's the thing that fills my heart. That I know that in the years that I've taught, that I've Martin and I were passionate about teaching, and that's why we became such good friends because we both had this desire just to do the best we could. And it feels amazing to go back to the school. And I'm not even a full-time teacher. I get this tremendous respect because of my legacy. as someone who's very understanding and caring. And that's a story I want to be told about me.
It's funny talking about things that we didn't expect going in as teaching candidates. I knew that relationships were important when it came to teaching, but I don't think I totally understood or truly understood how important that is. And even just seeing the support that we get through our cohort at UBC, and we've all got each other's backs. And I can only imagine, going into teaching that's the environment I want to work in, and the building those relationships with the students as well, with the kids. I mean, that's just, that relationship piece is just so critically important.
I just went out for lunch with a student. She's 43 years old now, and she's a former student of mine, 1993 at Longsdale, and she was talking about the difference I made in her life. But I did the opposite. I also organized, recently I got together with my own grade 5 teacher in 1977, where I organized those of us who were in her class 50 years ago. And it was wonderful. I got to tell her the difference she made in all our lives. And that's the power of teaching, right? It's incredible.
I was going to say it's special.
Yeah. I feel like coming into this program, it made me think about my old teachers as well. I'm like, I wonder how they're doing.
Yeah. When Roy was talking about his, rock star status, we've done these few TikTok videos just to promote the podcast, and they're kind of silly and stupid, but that's how you get attention on TikTok.
Yes.
But I was so excited. I said to Roy, I can't believe how many likes we got for this last video. They're amazing. And then we started to look at the names, and they were all his students. Yeah. Does anyone have a heartwarming story or something to share?
Yes.
Some moment that has happened and then during their practicum that kind of touched your heart or made you laugh even, or something like that you could share?
Well, it's funny you were saying the rock star status is reminding me, I think it was after our 2-week practicum, we had a week break, and I was it was the morning, and I could see all these little eyes in the window just looking in, and they're so excited, and they're banging on the window, and they're waving, and they're like, Miss McGee is here, Miss McGee is here. And they were so excited. And then I was like, it's so nice. And I was speaking to my essay at recess, and I was like, there's no other job where you show up to work and people are cheering to see you. Yeah.
Right?
I'm like that. You don't go into work at an office and have people your coworkers
you balanced the books today. Way to go.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
This is amazing.
No,
and
no,
so
it
I
is.
was just thinking about that. I'm like, I don't think there's any other job other than probably a rock star where people are cheering your name. So I don't know. I was just laughing at that. I'm like, that is the best.
And there's nothing like it. You're absolutely right.
I had kind of a similar celebration when Victor actually came in to do my observation. I was reading the kids' a story, and we were going to do a writing activity afterwards. And when I finished, they all started clapping. And then I got a standing ovation from the kids clapping and cheering that I had just spent our first, teaching moment with them. And afterwards, they said that they felt very lucky that out of all the classes in the school, I was able to be in their class. And they're just so sweet.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think early on for me, I let the kids know that I love getting drawings, because now that's all I get are little drawings passed to me all day. And it's so cute. And it's just so appreciative.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for me, last week, it was our last practicum day before winter break, and one of my students got me a gift, and it was I think I had mentioned to them that I was in Korea before teaching, and he got me a little cup, or a cup with Korea on it, and he wrote a note. He's like, I hope that this reminds you of your trip to South Korea. And I was just so touched. Yeah, just that they remember.
To know they know that, and they're listening to all that detail, right? Yeah. You're not just somebody that stands up trying to teach math. You're more than that, so much more.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to in your first full year of teaching? I know you've just had a little taste, but you want to start thinking about that down the line.
For me, something that I'm still not 100% sure yet, but I would like to start out with TOCing before I get my own classroom. And something I'm looking forward to is making those connections at different schools and experiencing different grades. I think that's something that I would like to do before I get my own classroom.
That's not such a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious about how what I learned with this year of being in a 6-7 class can kind of evolve and change for other
Okay.
grades.
I think for me, I'm really looking forward to. There's so many things I'm looking forward to, but I'm really looking forward to like getting, I guess like making the curriculum fun and finding ways I can be creative with it, get the students outside. If I can
Yeah.
turn things into, especially with the younger grades, like have them learning things and have it be really enjoyable. And so
Mhm.
I'm just excited to, probably doing sub work and seeing what other teachers do and getting inspired and just having fun with the curriculum. Is
Yeah.
I'm excited to.
Yeah.
I feel like I have so much to learn, but that's something I'm looking forward to.
That's the other amazing thing about this job. Every year can be different. You have this creativity, especially in BC, where it's pretty open how you present the curriculum. It's not prescribed to you. You must do it this way. So, like, one year you decide you're going to make a movie. Another year you're going to plan a trip to Mars, right? Where else do you have a job like that you have this huge area of creativity behind you?
Yeah. I'm known in North Vancouver as the Igloo Man. I was teaching Inuit studies with my grade 4s, and we were looking about, or we saw a video on building an igloo, and one of my students said to me, "Mr. Hunt, why can't we build an igloo?" I said, "Well, it's not, we don't have the ice or anything like that." I started thinking about it, and I made a phone call to Saputo, the milk manufacturing company, and I asked them if I could get some empty milk jugs. And they asked me what I wanted them for. I said, I'd like to hot glue gun milk jugs together to make an igloo in my classroom. Saputo sent me 1,500 milk jugs.
Whoa.
And I built a frame on the floor out of cardboard, and I had my students hot glue gun the milk jugs together.
Wow.
And it became a reading center in the classroom. The footprint of my classroom was greatly diminished, but it was unbelievable. And then a student came in the next day after we had it set up, and they had Christmas lights. He said, "Mr. Hunt, this is for the Aurora Borealis." And that we wrapped the Christmas tree lights around the igloo. And like I say, it was a reading center. We could fit 6 grade 4 students in it during the reading time. Yeah, I had, had many people from from the board office, including our superintendent of schools, coming in because they've heard about this. And then for a pro D, where they were discussing, thinking outside of the box or bringing creative ideas to life for your students. I did a slideshow on my igloo.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
One of the things I'm most excited about for next year is really just having the freedom and time to do that. I mean,
Yes.
I've thought about TOCing, and I would absolutely do that. But if at all possible, if I can have a full contract, I would jump in with both feet, just so I can have time to build those relationships, build those routines, and then take on big challenges like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is what's nice about elementary too. You really can build a family within that classroom.
Yes.
You have this chance to build those routines in the way that works for you too. Yeah.
I'm excited. We're eventually fitting my own classroom and just seeing what my students are interested in. And then like what Roy was saying and explaining about the igloo.
Yeah. Now, Roy, Chris was telling us he's been from the film industry for many years. So Chris, you'll like this, that I became known as the guy that would make movies with this class. So one of the first movies I made was in 1993 with that student I talked about who I just had lunch with. And we actually did this guerrilla filming. I got some ed leadership time and went to the Vancouver airport at the time. It was a spy film. And like can you imagine, you cannot do this today. So one of the kids had a long trench coat, sunglasses, hat, and we're in the airport. I didn't ask; there was no permission was given. Right? I'm filming this film. The other students hiding at the telephone. All the suspicious behavior. Not one person came and said, "What's going on here?" But every year I would get the class. We'd brainstorm movie ideas. They'd break off into teams, and then they would then write the one that was chosen. We'd write the script and then film it on location in different places in North Van, and then I would do the editing. And it was just always a lot of fun. And that's something concrete.
That's very much along the line of what I plan on doing as well. So it's fantastic to hear.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I feel like, Chris, you're going to have some really good projects. You should have seen, he had a poetry cafe during his practicum, and it was so cool.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And those are-
we started
yeah.
with a little nature walk, and all the kids had to write reflections of being outside, and then they turned that all into poetry throughout the course of the short practicum. And then we had a poetry cafe with tea and cookies
Wow.
and Christmas lights, and we projected the artwork that they made behind them.
That's what kids will remember, though, those kind
Yes.
of events. Yeah.
What advice would you give new teacher candidates who are starting their practicum from the experience that you've had so far?
I think I'll go back to a point that I mentioned earlier, which was about making mistakes, because we all try to encourage our own students to have this safe space to make mistakes, because that's how you learn. But I think there's that feeling that there's so much pressure when you're being observed and you're trying to put your best foot forward and make sure that you're making a good impression from the people that you're hoping to work with, that you don't want to make a mistake. You want to be perfect. But I think there's so much value in recognizing that mistakes are okay and just being open to that and willing to learn and take chances.
I was just going to say, I think that it's so important from the very beginning of your practicum to really try to build those connections with your students. And I think through doing that, like, just don't be shy. Try to connect, talk to your students. Like, we've talked about it in our program about different strategies to make sure that you're having those like one-on-one conversations with your students throughout the week, or just so that they know that you care about them and you're listening as much as they're listening to you. And I feel like if you're able to build that foundation, then things like classroom management and engagement will just be so much easier.
It's so true. Yeah. Caitlyn?
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, I really agree with both Olivia and Chris. I just remember being so nervous going into my 2-week practicum. I don't know, was that expectation, and I didn't know what to expect, but I wanted to do well. So anytime you want to do well and you feel like the stakes are high. But another student in our cohort was like, don't be nervous. You're just going to get feedback, like whatever, you're just collecting feedback. It kind of shifted my perspective. Like, I'm not going to go up there and know everything about teaching and it's going to be amazing. Like, I'm there to learn and improve. And so that really helped me kind of calm my nerves. It's like, I'm just going and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to learn a lot. And so kind of like reframing it in my mind, because I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself. So just going up there, not expecting to be perfect or to have it all figured out when you're starting out is like, you're in the learning phase. We're like little baby teachers. We're just learning. So that was like, that was like a good, like, kind of shift in my mindset is just to kind of relax.
I taught for 34 years. I was only just beginning to get it at the end. You got to realize it's a lifetime where you're just trying to achieve greatness and you just hope to get there. I think to slowly wrap up, can everybody think of one word that describes your 2-week practicum? If you had to just choose one word, what would that word be? If you have to think about it for a little bit, think about it.
Or
if you have it,
a
it pops in your head.
phrase. Yeah.
Sure.
One word or phrase. Yeah.
No, I want them one word, Roy.
Okay, one word. All right.
There's no openness. No, there's
No. Oh, I want a phrase.
It can be a phrase or a one word.
Phrase.
Yeah, I would say my word would be growth.
And this is not saying that I achieved it, but balance.
Nice. Okay.
That's a good one.
Say, and this is more than one word, learning more about myself and establishing who I want to be as a teacher.
Nice.
Roy, hearing, I think, these teacher candidates, I think the future looks bright.
Yes.
And is everyone willing to meet again in June? Because that would be wonderful if we could talk after your longer practicum. And then if that works out, maybe a year later, we could all hook up again and see where people are with their careers. And it just would be a neat long-term study and a unique one. I don't think it's ever been done before to kind of share in the podcast format.
I feel like if I had seen this podcast coming into into this program, it would have been like so awesome and so helpful.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. We really appreciate everyone taking the time because we know how busy you are, right? You got, whether it's, you got to still work, you got families to do, you got schooling you're due, you've got practicums. It's a lot on your plate. So for you to take the time to share and help other people that are in this situation and other teachers actually to learn and also to see this joyful group that are coming up and making it bright, right, Roy?
It is. Yeah. It's really exciting. And I know Martin and I, we're the biggest cheerleaders for people who want to go into the teaching profession. We've been there. We've left the teaching position. I know that I'm still a TTOC, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't substitute teach if I didn't like it.
Mhm.
And to be in, together, we have over 70 years of teaching experience. So, if we didn't like it, well, why? But we did. We loved it. I still love it. And when we meet people like you, it warms my heart and it makes me feel good that, the passion that I have for teaching is being passed on by new teachers like yourself.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
There we are. What a wonderful conversation with those four fine student teachers.
That was so amazing.
Yeah.
We do this podcast because we have had the experience of teaching and also left teaching when we retired, still loving teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, if you listen to a lot of the things out there in social media, there are a lot of frustrated teachers, and rightly so.
It's challenging for sure.
It's a challenging profession. But what made me feel so good was listening to the enthusiasm and the energy that those four teacher candidates brought to us.
Yeah, and you want people that are in this profession because they love it and they want to do it. And that was so clear from them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so looking forward to in June getting together with them now that they finished their longer practicum, just to carry the conversation on a little further. And then in a year from there, let's chat again, right?
To find out, after that, because once you finish teaching, then it's the whole process of trying to somehow get in as a substitute teacher, a TTOC, what we call in North Vancouver, and then trying to get that continuing contract, either a few months or maybe luckily getting something where you'll go the entire year.
Yeah.
And then the magic happens, right? Then
it's your class.
It's your
right?
class.
Yeah.
It's your artistic flair. It's your creativity and all of those things that make it such a magical experience.
Yeah, just like it's magical here on Pender Island.
Yes.
And did you notice I did not interrupt you?
No,
I was
you didn't.
A good listener there, so I'm working on my New Year's resolution. And your lighting is not so bad.
And the lighting looks pretty good.
Right? You're not the Dark Lord now.
I'm not the Dark Lord, and it will get better from this point on. I guarantee you.
Okay. So happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.
May 2026 be filled with health and happiness, and we wish you all the best. And we'll see you again later after the bell.
That's right. Lots of joy and lots of laughter.
This podcast is organic, taking shape with each episode. Building resiliency for teachers everywhere.
That sounds great.
And our website is stuntbrothers.ca.
That's stuntbrothers.ca.
We will chat again
after the bell.